And here's where they plan to carry out the attacks on Belarus. And if 6 hours before the operation we didn't launch a preemptive strike on the position, they would have attacked our Belarusian and Russian troops, which were on military drills. I'll show you now. I brought the map. Since the first day of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Belarus has become a springboard for the Russian military attacking Ukraine from the north. And 3 days later, Belarus held a referendum, as a result of which the clauses on the country's neutrality and its intention to adhere to a nuclear-free status were removed from the constitution. Instead, they added amendments expanding and strengthening Lukashenko's power. The people of Belarus have made their choice in favor of evolutionary transformations of the political system. However, the experts of the Center for New Ideas, Vasya Rutnik and Gennady Korshunov, believe that the new Belarus did not actually receive any pluses at the beginning of 2022. The experts have developed an integrated approach to assessing the political, economic and social spheres in Belarus. They called it the Resilience Index. Examinations were carried out before the start of the war, but the data obtained, according to the authors, have not lost its relevance now. What we got at the pre-war stage, indeed, at the time, the state of the country as a system could be characterized and should be characterized as a crisis. If we take the same economic sphere as an example, then not everything is very bad yet, but there are no prospects either. In the near future, the situation can only worsen, experts say. New Western sanctions against Belarus have become the most serious in its history.
I will not trust Lukashenko and the Belarusian regime even for a minute.
On April the 8th, the European Union adopted the fifth package of sanctions, one of the points of which was a ban on the movement of Belarusian and Russian trucks across the EU. This immediately hit the carriers. The European Union has cut off 3 Belarusian banks from specialized financial messaging services, primarily SWIFT. They closed the access of state-owned companies to the stock exchanges of the European Union. 17 people and 11 companies were imposed to sanctions.
I'm afraid we are not facing a short-term crisis at all. We are just facing a long-term crisis, the main effects of which we will see still ahead.
But the real Belarusian economy will be in a fever in a few months, experts predict. First of all, they should prepare for depreciation of the ruble, rising inflation, a drop in GDP and real incomes to 16%, as well as significant problems with employment.
The situation is rapidly worsening, and it's not just the sanctions. The point is the general toxicity that now surrounds Belarus, unfortunately the same one as Russia, because in the outside world Belarus is perceived as an aggressor, and it is also related to what it is happening in Russia, because Belarus is a small open economy. It is very dependent on its external partners.
According to the Belarusian edition, the economic newspaper, the state's economy has entered the red zone. This also applies to GDP indicators and price growth. The fall accelerated against the backdrop of the final loss of the European and Ukrainian sales markets, the strengthening of sanctions and currency problems, and in the coming months the economic crisis, along with the political one, will only grow. Reported by Pavlo Stelmach, Natalia Huzak, UATV News.